Mr. Chairperson of Parliament, the floor is yours now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, dear guests from neighboring countries and from neighboring European countries, Your Excellencies, it's a great privilege for me to address the participants of today's event in Tbilisi, in Georgia. I'm delighted to have this opportunity because this is the first major event organized in Georgia in the framework of Euronest Parliamentary Assembly. And first of all, I want to wish you a very successful meeting and making decisions which would be approved so easily during your next meeting as the minutes of the last meeting were approved here. And congratulations for that. Cooperation with the European Union for the countries like Georgia is so essential, so vital, and so important that it has support from the Georgian people, first of all, and from all the political parties represented in this country. Therefore, I'm proud to report to you that the recent change of government in Georgia after the October parliamentary elections did not create any delays, any transitional problems in cooperation with European Union. Just vice versa, this government came with new energy, with new ideas, and I'm very grateful to see that the country is making further progress in completing all the necessary work for association agreement, and we are very hopeful about the upcoming Vilnius summit, which is for us a very important event for making and for marking another progress of this country in the long and difficult road of European integration. It is very important that such a framework was created, and Euronest and its Parliamentary Assembly is enabling all the participants of this process to have closer cooperation, better understanding of the process, better understanding of the challenges we face in our countries, which helps us to share the experience, learn lessons, and to move this bigger European family with less problems and with more experience. The Parliament of Georgia is determined to continue this very close cooperation in this framework. We have delegations which are composed by, I would say, leading politicians, both from majority and minority, which underlines what importance we are giving to this framework and to this work. And I'm sure the new members of the Parliament who are now working with you in this committee and in other committees and other structures of the Euronest framework will very easily and very quickly adopt to the procedures and traditions of this process. And I also hope that more experienced members of Georgian Parliament from the minority who are present here will not hesitate to share their experience and to work together for better future of our common homeland, Georgia. We are very grateful to the European Union for the assistance it was giving to our country during all the time since the independence of Georgia, especially in those difficult moments when we experienced military aggression against our country, which resulted in occupation of territories of Georgia, and if not the efforts of European leaders and EU leaders, the consequences of that war could be much more severe, not only for Georgia, but for wider region here. And therefore, it is essential to have European Union monitoring mission in Georgia and to continue this process, because this is the only real guarantor of the peace at the moment in this country. Of course, we are interested to see that the agreement, so-called Sarkozy agreement, is fully implemented, and the European Union continues its efforts to achieve full implementation of that agreement. We appreciate also the policy of non-recognition, which is followed by European Union member countries and by the countries who are present here. We believe this is very important for finding ways of peaceful resolution of these conflicts and avoiding further complication in that direction. We, the new government, we are determined to continue this cooperation and to come to Vilnius summit with many positive things to report. At the same time, we want to be honestly sharing with our neighbors, with our partners who are now within this framework, the challenges we are facing at the moment. The parliamentary elections of October 1st were widely recognized as a very important event, not only in Georgia, for Georgia, but probably for wider region, where free and fair elections are still target, goal, not the reality. We appreciate that the results of these elections were recognized by the then ruling party, which led to peaceful outcome of the elections. But at the same time, we cannot forget the problems the country experienced not only during the electoral campaign, immediately before this event, but during many years. I believe Georgian society is still struggling to overcome the Soviet legacy. Unfortunately, that legacy is very deep, very deeply rooted in the society, and we still have a lot of work to do in order to achieve the real standards of democracy. Democracy which means pluralism, which means tolerance, which means freedom of expression, which means rule of law, which means change of government as something which must be saluted as something which is normal for a functioning democracy. And these problems we need to overcome together. I appreciate the comments, recommendations, advices the new government is getting from our friends from Europe. We believe the highest possible standards should be applied to our performance. And we do not ask any forgiveness or any exemptions, whatever arguments or reasons could be behind some problems we are facing now. If these standards were applied without exceptions for a long period, starting from at least 2003-2004, when after the Rose Revolution the new government came with declared objectives towards democracy and rule of law, we believe we could avoid many problems. We appreciate your attention to recent events in Georgia, namely February 8 clashes on the street, and we believe such things should not be repeated, and all the involved parties, citizens, politicians, police, everybody, media, we all need to do a better job in order to avoid such things and to have discussion, debate, protest, but only within the frameworks of law and democratic culture. As Mr. Saakashvili very eloquently put it, the right of protest ends where the nose of Ms. Taktakishvili starts. That's right, and we need all to agree to that. However, if such principle was applied to all the events we experienced during the last 9 years, the problems political opposition experienced here during these years, members of the parliament who experienced not only beating but having much bigger problems, probably these things could be avoided. But I'm talking about the past, not as justification of any problems now. I'm urging to everybody to be cautious, to have more attention to our country, to our government, in order to take right track at the very beginning, without any exemptions. Only this kind of approach would help us in delivering whatever we promise to the Georgian society. Just very few words about the current situation, which is called Georgian way of cohabitation. And at the beginning, I want to advise our dear neighbors not to take this example or not to think that this is something very good thing where we are now. However, we are trying hard to achieve real cohabitation when the different government institutions are not competing to each other on the basis of political agenda. Rather, they are cooperating for the mutual goal of making progress in this country. Unfortunately, very well-known problem of post-Soviet countries, when ruling party was merged with the state, brings the problem again behind us, on our table at the moment. But I want to report that at the moment, in these days, we have made considerable progress in negotiations. And I don't want to raise any expectations now, but we are on the right track. I'm personally participating in this process from the ruling coalition side. We have constant meetings with the former Speaker of the Parliament, Mr. Bakradze. Yesterday, late night, we ended our work with, I would say, considerable progress. What we are trying to achieve is to create firm legal and political ground for cohabitation. And the issue which the Georgian Dream Coalition raised about the constitutional amendments, I believe had to be raised a long time ago. Since 2004, in Georgian constitution, we have an article which allows the president not only to dismiss the government, but to create the new government without approval of the parliament. This article was very much criticized by the Venice Commission back in 2004. Unfortunately, the Council of Parliamentary Assembly of Council of Europe, European Union, adopted resolutions then calling to Georgian government to restore the balance of power in Georgian constitution, but that resolution, those resolutions adopted in 2004, remained without proper address. And unfortunately, our friends from the Europe failed to remind this issue to the previous government timely. That's the key issue at the moment, but the process leads us to probably addressing bigger issues, not only this thing, and I believe this will enable us to move forward. I wanted just to report about these recent developments and the prospects we have now. And I'm very thankful to the representatives of the minority in the parliament who are engaged in this work. We had a meeting with the president, and I believe in the coming years we could report to you tangible progress forward, which would enable us to come to Vilnius summit with proper achievements. With this, I want to finish my words and to wish you all the success during your meeting now and in the future. And from Georgian side, we are once again ensuring you that we will do everything possible for the success and for the progress of this process. Thank you.